Good evening and welcome to Flux Motorsport TV. You are here this evening with Lecky_2000 for the very first in our 2020 Season 1 Championship for our GT1 Championship. So today you join us at the Portimão circuit in the what is normally the very sunny Algarve in Portugal. However, today it's looking a little bit soggy here in the Algarve, so it looks like we are going to get a out-and-out wet race for you. The guys are currently just going around here in qualifying, as we are just on board with the very familiar Toyota of Jack de Menezes. Jack de Menezes finishing very strongly last season, the GT1s in that Toyota. So again, great to see Jack back out here on track, but I will come back to a little bit more about Jack and our drivers a little bit later. So welcome everybody, thanks very much for joining us. If you join us for the first time on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you like what we do and you like our videos or any of the other content that we bring you. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you get notified when our videos come out. Okay, so just coming into today, we come off the back of a previous touring car race on Tuesday evening, and that was brought to you by our host Murphy GBR. And we saw in that touring car race yet another familiar face, which we saw from last season in the touring cars, along with Jack. Jack was in that race as well, but we saw the Consul retain his so far unblemished record, championship win #1 under his belt last season for the touring cars, and he's looking to defend that championship again, I believe, in the touring cars. So that we did see that yesterday. So all that action there. A few penalties from the racing court of the Americas, I believe it was. Hopefully we won't be seeing that today, but I suspect that albeit we might not get track limits, we might get 1 or 2 spins here. And as we just see Jack making way there for what I think is yet another familiar face. I believe that is the black Mercedes CLK of Linga Bazinga. It's just making his way down on the inside. Now these guys know they're not supposed to be racing during qualifying. I think that was Linga Bazinga just trying to get the end of his hot lap in there. Jack potentially doing the same. So coming into, like I said, 2020 Season 1, this season we are bringing you more championships, more action, more racing from Flux Motorsport. This season we have got an upgrade from the 4 championships that you saw last season, which were primarily based in European time zones. We are now stretched that to 7 championship races across 2 different time zones. Now doing an American series. We've got the Americas regions. Essentially then they go out at 8 PM Eastern Standard Time to correlate with our 8 PM UK time, and they race on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays 8 PM Eastern, which is about 1 AM or 2 AM in the morning, depending whether you're on UK or Central European time. So do watch out for those if you're just catching us on YouTube, or if you're just tuning back in from last season. We've got more action for you this season, so and don't forget to look out for our promo videos. You see 1 or 2 promo videos knocking around on the YouTube page at the moment. Some of those videos really well done. Our camera guy currently this evening, Mick Toasty, is currently working our cameras and bringing the broadcast to you. The main culprit for those videos, and a great job he's done as well. So a great thank you to Mick Toasty for that. But yep, 7 championships, more racing, more action, more thrills and more spills. And again, we expect to see that in the GT1 Championship here this evening. So some of the guys already starting to put some lap times in now. So Linga Bazinga already down in the 140s. And we'll just see if we can take a look at Linga Bazinga on track as he comes down this huge hill. So great undulations at the Portimão circuit, particularly that last bend. Really difficult on the front tyres, and the rain's not going to help this, so it's really inducing understeer, particularly on these cars which rely so much on the aerodynamics. So for this season, who have we got in the grid? Well, Linga Bazinga, obviously he was our returning champion. We're going to expect him to have a great season again. But are there any new challenges that are going to face him this season? Or are we going to get any old faces that are going to try and rear their heads and challenge for that championship spot. Currently we've got one or two new faces and one or two old faces. Some of the guys that you will recognise as our Dutch trio, so Link Bazinga usually racing with Martin 65 or Jelmer as we know him, and Snelling Bongo also joining that to make up the Dutch trio that we know. So these guys hoping to have great performances. Snelling Bongo and Jelmer also put in good performances last year. Unfortunately not quite as quick as Linga Bazinga throughout, but certainly all the Dutch guys tended to have a little bit of pace in here, and that Mercedes certainly running well today for Linga Bazinga. That's at the top of our qualifying. So our qualifying sessions, as you know, they run for 20 minutes, and that extends it into a 45-minute feature-length race. Obviously the guys are currently running wet tyres, and I suspect that will remain wet tyres, but whether they change those tyres, whether they pit, is completely up to these guys. There's no mandatory pit stop in this race, so it is all down to the driver on what he can do in terms of time management and fuel management. They should be able to go the distance here on the fuel, I would have thought, going off the previous performances and similar track lengths, as Linga returns to the pit there. And we go back on. So this is Sterling Borgos. This is the black and orange livery. Again, CLK, the Dutch guys liking the CLKs. I don't think that's changed this season. Still opting for the same vehicle, tried and tested. We're going a little bit wide there for Sterling Bongo, not managing to set a lap in on this qualifying lap. A couple of other faces that you will have expected to see already. Dirt Diggler in that Panos. Great to see the Panos back. Really got a struggle around here today. That Panos completely unassisted, so there's no traction control, no fancy gizmos. It is just engine and power, and lots of it, and a wonderful noise that she makes as well. Well, great to see a couple of the guys opting for the Panos. Not too bad as far as downforce is concerned with the Panos. Quite a grippy little car anyway. Just needs to try and keep that front end in check, so the last turn's going to be a struggle with that one. And obviously with no traction control, it's all about the driver's right foot. A couple of other drivers that you will see return as well. Like we said, Jack de Mendes, Murphy, some familiar faces that you will have seen last season. Immortalis again making a return. But some new drivers that you won't have seen. Blankfile, who was our GT3 champion last season. He enters fresh into our GT1s, looking to try and extend his experience at Flux Motorsport and extend that championship winning streak. And hopefully he can try and pick up another couple of places. See how he fares in the wet here today. And we'll just see if we can go over to Blankfile and take a look. So Blankfile, not a common option for a vehicle. He's currently in the Nissan, if it's for our American friends across the pond. So they're in that blue and white Calsonic livery. Nissan not got a reputation for being the best car in category, not the fastest, and certainly not the best in the corners either, so certainly asking for a bit of a challenge here, but knowing Blankfile, he'll have something up his sleeve for this one. Another familiar face that we have seen before is Murphy, but in a slightly different car this season. So Murphy you're familiar with in the red and white Toyota, just like Jack de Mendes, them two tending to run nose to tail through a lot of last season. Murphy going for a different option this season, so he's in the D2 livery CLK silver brushed Mercedes there, brushed metal Mercedes. Murphy hoping to better his performance last season. Didn't get a bad finish last season. I think he came 5th or 6th overall from looking at the standings tables. He could have done a little bit better if he'd managed to keep that Toyota a bit more under control. So faring better in the CLK might be the way forward for Murphy. Keep an eye on him throughout this race and see what his performance is like in comparison. Some new faces though that you won't have seen. Green Gaming is another new member to our GT1 Championship, this time taking the Toyota livery, so in place of Murphy. You've got Destroyer that is also in the CLK, like CLK currently in the pits. Sorry, in the green and gold CLK, which was one of the previous Legends colours, who you won't be seeing this season, so neither Leggy have made it through into the GT1 this season. Whether that was a conscious choice or whether they didn't quite make the draft, didn't get there in time as for sign-ups. but both family members opted for the same decision and bowing out of GT1s. So we'll just take a look at the timings here. So currently fastest lap being set by Linga Bazinga, who's quite happy with that. He's probably in the pit stops now taking a look at what he can do in terms of trying to stretch tyres and fuel out. They're going to make a big difference on what you can do on the tyres in this race. Obviously accelerated tyre wear during our lobbies really pay heavily for using that softer compound on the wets in a longer race like this. So potentially having to pit stop during the middle of this race, potentially twice even, reports coming from some drivers in practice sessions before our qualifying. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll just stay with this driver here. Currently 7th on our grid, so he's come out, he's set a decent time already, and the guys above him are certainly not slow. So some of the faster guys in our community currently above him. Both Fubby is fairly new, he's already come out fresh out the blocks for a second place win. For second place position in our touring cars yesterday, just playing the win behind console. Another uncommon choice here in the GT1s is one of our staff members, Giacomo. Giacomo is our lead coordinator for LMP2s, and that'll be coming to you on Saturday night, 8 PM UK time. Giacomo currently opting for the Porsche here. The Porsche again, not a common choice. Quite a quick vehicle, but notorious for going round, so it can be a bit of a widowmaker, unfortunately, the Porsche. As Luke Snipes, who we're also missing from GT1 this season, could testify to. So that pretty much gives you a rundown of the grid. A couple of other familiar faces that you see the Porsche going round there actually. So, because the commentator affecting people even in qualifying, it appears. Yeah, the other people that we may not have mentioned, TT Thrasher, who is also coming out in the panels. That familiar panels that you see used to belong to Bruce Law. Bruce Law not making it into GT1s this season. So unfortunately that will see the battle between Linga Bazinga and Bruce Law not continue. But from what I understand, Jack de Menezes was up there for second place last season. So we may well see Linga Bazinga and Jack fighting that out. Survivor as well joining it in the titles, like I said, and I think that's pretty much it for our grid for today, other than one of our newer members, Will God. Will God's put in one of the fastest laps recently around our community challenge. It seems to be a bit of a genius in the ice, believe it or not, in the rally setups and both in a road car setup, certainly favouring icy conditions. So a driver that clearly likes his opposite lock. We've got again in the silver panels, so number 44 instead of number 4 this time though, so we'll keep an eye on him. Currently setting 141, so the quickest driver out on track other than Linga Bazinga. Not always indicative during a wet track, as the track gets wetter during qualifying and lap times tend to get normally slower. Up to again undulating turns during this Portimao circuit. Not doing too badly though on the panels. A little bit of a slip off there just on the exit. So the guys are going to have to watch this. The race director's not too strict around here when the track conditions are adverse like they are now, but she will still give you a couple of penalties if you tend to run off on turn 1, which is where Little God is just going through now. And if you start to cut where the rubbers are in turns 2 and 3, you also pay the penalty there. And we'll just try and go on board with Little God here, see if we can try and get the rest of the lap from his point of view. Get rid of the cameras here for just a moment. And you can hear that engine roaring from that panels. Again, the front end not always wanting to turn in. Steve keeping the handle on it here, not too much rear end slide there, as the back of the car does want to step out as you go over that huge crest and back up the other side, and one of the most difficult corners on this track, sometimes called the tabletop, as he comes down the other side. And for the last couple of turns, tight left hander here. Again, the car wanting to over rotate on the exit of this corner and then under rotate here as the track falls away with the Avis camber, and just about gets it wrong there. So not able to put in a faster lap this time round. And potentially that rain getting a little bit heavier there and conditions getting worse, making it more and more difficult. So again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. 45 minutes worth of a race here to go. So what these guys get in qualifying is possibly not what they're going to be getting in terms of race pace. We have been seeing 143s, 144s in terms of the lower end of what the guys were expecting in race pace. Lord God, getting all sorts of sideways there, so we'd probably been bringing that back into the pits, which indeed he does. So eMotorsports, not seen much of him so far out in qualifying, but he's been out there setting laps, and again not a million miles away, so a second or so behind our pole sitter Linga Bazinga at this stage. Didn't have a bad season last season, albeit he couldn't turn up to every single race. So eMotorsports plagued by not being able to attend all the race sessions last season. Hopefully he'll be able to get a few more under his belt and get a few more points this season. Again, quick with these guys in the Toyota. Part on last season, looks like he's made a switch to the CLK as he comes down the hill into turn 1. Snatched a bit at the steering though. Doesn't seem to have lost too much time though. No lights on though, so maybe not on a hot lap this lap. Come back to Mortalis to see if he is putting a hot lap in there. 1:42.1 his current time. Profobby, one of our new drivers. Profobby again had a great performance yesterday in the touring cars, did really well. Fortunately got a lot of penalties, so we'll see whether that is a common feature with Profobby or whether that was just a difficult track in Texas yesterday. They started the Americas. Certainly giving Blackfire a bit of a sniff here in qualifying. What we wanted to go around, because Blackfire does look like he's on a hot lap, but certainly looks like he's holding Fobby up a little bit there, so faster laps could be put in here. We'll be benefiting from the draft as they go down the straight. So this is going to help Profobby's lap time. Let's see if he goes faster here. He doesn't, but he is looking to get down the inside. Can be a difficulty in practice. You're trying to get ahead of the guy in front. The guy in front also want a hot lap, potentially his quickest lap. Sometimes it's better for a driver to retire to the pits and try and get a free run on session. It looks like it is the last time the guys are going to get to go around here, so he might be trying to push and get his car just pulling it out of the dirty air there just as he comes down into that tight hairpin. You have to watch for puddles forming on the inside of that corner, which is going to be an issue here today, certainly as the race goes on. And they come through it into this difficult uphill section where you are struggling for traction. And puddles on the inside of every single left-hander as the water starts to pool there. We're still toe-in-toe during qualifying, so a great little qualifying session these two gents are having here, Profobby and Blankfile. Not an awful lot in them, and Profobby certainly doesn't look like he's catching Blankfile too much. Maybe a little bit on the exit of the corners, so better traction there from the Mercedes. Could certainly hold the speed going into the corner, the Nissan. And it did seem to have quite a bit in top end, so you can see the puddles there forming on the inside as they come to the last corner for the last time qualifying. Pro Fubby eventually trying to make a move down the inside. Let's see if their lap times improve here. So Pro Fubby 142.6. And no improvement there as they come across the line. So as we finish up our qualifying session here at the Autodrome International Algarve circuit, Bazinga comes across the line in first place. Lil God in second place. Snarling Bongo in third place. Immortalis comes up in the Zepanol livery in fourth place. Jelma or Martin 65 as you know him in fifth place. Pro Fubby finishes well though, but not an improvement on that lap time in sixth spot. Destroyer, one of our newer members of the community, having a decent start in seventh place. Ben Ballard, which we didn't really see much of in qualifying, again in a similar livery to Pro Fubby, slightly different numbers, but certainly not teammates, in eighth. Dirk Diggler coming up in ninth place. Murphy in 10th, Green Gaming in 11th place, Jack Demented in 12th, Blank Foul comes up in 12th place, so a little bit slower than Pro Fubby actually in practice, and Survivor coming up in 14th place with Giacomo and TC Thrasher finishing up our grid. So just as the guys get onto track here, and take a couple of minutes to get the setups in order, get the fuel right for the race from qualifying, and potentially put a little bit more or lesser in these tyres and get the cars underway. So just as the guys get the setup sorted, some predictions potentially here for the race. Again, I think Linga Bazinga is going to do well. He's going to get off that line straight away. Potentially going to get a little snip into Primera, which I believe is the pronunciation of the first corner. Please do correct me on stream if you know the pronunciation better than I do. But a tight corner, difficult corner. Theoretically, it's a triple right-handed corner if you treat it as one corner, which some of the guys out here do. A little bit too extended. Maybe in the wet session to try and treat that as one entire corner, but certainly smoothness is going to be what the guys are going for, and a little bit too much of a dive bomb in that corner. I can see big accidents, especially at the bottom of that huge hill though. So obviously no initial mandatory pit stop, but the guys are going to be wanting to think about pitting potentially towards halfway, 3/4 through the race for the Mercedes. Toyota I think is doing a little better on tyres. It'd be interesting to see how the panels fares without the traction control. But I think that's it in terms of the time for our drivers now. We're just about to get the lights on here. So the lights are on here at Portimao, and we are go for the first of our GT1 race. It looks like they've all got away fairly cleanly, and also no spins off the line, but it is about 4 or 5 wide through into turn 1 for second place. Linga Bazinga does get away into first place. It looks like Sterling Bongo just coming up into second place, but Immortalis on the inside. So Lil God has dropped all the way back down to 6th place. Jello making his way up to 4th place, and Pro Fubby making his way up to 5th. And looks like Pro Fubby's just squashed Jello there on the inside. And they're down to contact, so it looks like contact there with Pro Fubby. And we are sort of 4 wide now as we come down the back straight. So that's Destroyer just at the head of that pack in the green and white livery, and Blank File goes and makes contact there with what I think was Jack on the inside, but sends him off track. So all action here in lap 1 at Portimao circuit. And as he just starts to get things settled, Destroyer coming through into 9th place, but certainly all sorts of action down here at the back. Survivor managing to come through in 10th. TC Thrasher came all the way up from 14th place into 11th, so he's got a great start out of that battle though. But the guys really missing out. Our Green Gaming looks like he struggled. Blank File and Pro Fubby really taking a toll there, so not a good look for those guys. But over to our leaders. It looks like Linga Bazinga, Immortalis and Sterling Bongo have got away fairly cleanly, but Sterling Bongo is all over the back of Immortalis now. as they come to the last corner. You can just see the sun peeking through the clouds, but I don't think that's going to affect the weather forecast too much. It looks like the skies are still fairly overcast, and the weather's going to keep coming down here. So if they think they're going to get any reprieve, they've got another thing coming. And Snell and Bongo is right up in Mortalis's rear end, and as he makes a move down the outside. So that is a brave manoeuvre to try and go down the outside there. Trying to go for the cutback, but not going to get it into pre-air into turn 1 as he comes through now in turns 2 and 3, which is Lagos just before as he comes up this tricky left-hander as the car tries to kick out, and again you get puddles forming here as they come onto the straight here after Lagos up all the way down into the massive hill into Torre Vip, so wanting to lock up here really tight there. It looks like he does lock up a little bit there on the outside, Snarling. But a great battle here for second place. Lap 2 if you're just joining us. It's been all that action so far in the first lap or two. The rain really taking effect. Got away off the line cleanly, but certainly not clean after that. There was 3 or 4 different instances of contact. It looks like the Nissan got involved with at least a couple of Toyotas there. And Profobia also taking a bit of a knock there on the exit of turn 4. Snell and Bongo still managing to stick with Immortalis here for third place, but it does look like the guys just behind them are bunching up, so we've got a battle forming up just behind these two, with Little God who's worked his way back up now from 6th place up into 5th, and he's challenging for 4th place off 1965, or Jelmer as you might know him, in that panel. So the panels is doing better here, as is that Snell and Bongo going round, and there's contact there as well, collateral damage. The guys just try and make a manoeuvre round. That's Murphy just trying to get the front end of that silver Merc out the way. And Murphy takes a manoeuvre round Little God, around Steve as we call him, and he's not quite able to make it stick. Steve fighting back on the outside there, but I think Murphy's just going to about have him on the run, unless the extra legs on that panels can just try and get in. It has indeed, it's just got him in front, but don't forget that Toyota's just behind, and the speed that Jack's got in that Toyota is unrivaled in this category. The Little God just pushing his way in front of Murphy there for 4th spot, but a battle for 4th spot really hotting up here with these 3 cars. Immortalis will have got a bit of a gap now, as Snell and Bongo went round a little earlier, just coming through the last corners. So this battle for 3rd place. The Little God, I think, is about to become a 3-car race as Jack gets involved here, but if he's sat in the dirt here, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Murphy behind. As you can see, the cars keep pulling out of the lines that you would normally see them take, potentially taking a slightly different line to try and stop the aero from affecting them. Even worse with the rain here, so the guys really going to struggle for traction as the rain continues to come down and the spray gets even worse. Difficult going into some of these sections with the spray over that hill. It's essentially a blind section. You come into the section blind. The guy can't see what's over the hill, and it's nothing but spray. You just got to hope that the guy in front has stuck that corner and got it right, so you don't come into contact with it. Steve just coming up to what is Sagres corner, I believe, and the last corner, which is Galp, so managing to stick that there. But again, well, God, you see just about getting the back end switching there on that Panos. So it's not easy for any of these guys, even the guys at the front struggling. Just move down the grid a little bit further. It looks like we have got a battle in between TC Thrasher and Survivor. So TC Thrasher and Survivor, both guys from the United States, recently joining Flux Motorsport and the GT1 championships, but no love lost it for their counterparts from the same country here. As TC Thrasher goes through on the inside, as Survivor goes wide. So that is a safe rejoin as he comes back on track. But Ben Ballard just behind him there in the red and white CLK livery, and that's a little bit wide there actually from TC Thrasher, so taking futuristic lines here to try and defend from all that raw power that Survivor's got. And will you see him try and take a manoeuvre down here into the last? He does indeed. So again, that raw power that under the Toyota, just about managing to make it stick on the inside. Great braking there from Survivor, managing to get that manoeuvre done, and a snake of Mercedes behind that. So this is currently the battle for 8th place that we're watching. just in front we've got a battle up between Destroyer and Jack Demenzi's. So Destroyer's caught back up to Jack Demenzi's for a battle for 6th and 7th place. I'm expecting a little bit of damage on Jack's car after the first couple of corners, where it looks like he got involved in a bit of a shunt between himself and Blankfile. Not doing too badly, working his way back up. And looks like Blankfile's massively dropped back down the order, back in 16th place. So some of that pace we were expecting to see from qualifying hasn't transpired here in the race. Hopefully he'll be able to get that car sorted, repaired and back out onto the track and back into racing fit fashion. As Destroyer comes down on the inside, and that's Jack going a little bit wide. So the Toyota really struggling though. Again, he's going to struggle with the front wing. You've essentially got to set the car up as a wing in order to get any sort of front end aero on it, and be very delicate with the rear end as Destroyer comes on the inside. So great manoeuvre there, and not managing to make it stick. So Jack then coming back on the inside. So real cat and mouse here with these two drivers. Jack looks like he's got a run coming up into the back straight, but always a difficult turn as we see Destroyer just getting the car a little bit squiggly there, coming over the hill. Going over to our leaders for a moment though, it looks like we're starting to see Jelmer close up on Immortalis. So second Dutch guy going to take a crack at Immortalis here. It's not the first one he's dealt with today. Let's see whether he can deal with Jelmer in the same fashion. Jack and Destroyer still battling this out. So Destroyer seems to have been able to come through that pack pretty much unscathed. Set a reasonable qualifying mid-pack, and he's just about to put that manoeuvre on Jack. He tries to get it done on the inside though, but Jack defends hard and just shuts the door in at the end. But they've both gone wide, so both these guys pushing really hard. And this is going to end one way. Both these guys keep pushing at 101%. It's going to end in tears, which unfortunately we won't be able to see because it's way too wet here today. Snarling Bongo has dropped back down the order and is currently battling it out for the spot for 9th place with Ben Ballard and Dirk Diggler. So Dirk Diggler not managing to get a great start there. I did expect to see a little bit of a better lap there from Dirk, coming from a GT1 championship position last season. Maybe getting involved in a couple of the bits of contact that we saw there on the first couple of laps. So if you're just joining us, thanks for watching us. You're just come through to Flux Motorsport TV, where you're catching the GT1 Championship. We are 10 minutes into our race, currently with Linga Bazinga winning, and closely followed by Immortalis. But as we know, that can well change anytime soon. As we can see here, currently a battle for what is 8th place, and it could be anybody at this stage. So Destroyer just about holding the rest of these guys off just at this stage. But Snarling Bongo, Survivor, Ben Ballard and Dirk Diggler all in the background. It was that Dirk Diggler just putting a move there on Ben Ballard, I think it was, and he has made that stick. So the hairpin looks like it's the place to make the manoeuvre. It does look like there's grip on the inside of that corner there, and if the guys keep using it, that track will only dry out further. Again, if you are just joining us, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and that bell notification to make sure you get notified when our videos go out on stream. As you may well be aware, if you may tuned in last time to our special event, thanks very much for those that did tune in on that. And we had a great event. I had a great time, I must admit. I think all the guys had a great time letting the herd down and doing a little bit that was not quite the usual circuit racing that we do. A little bit of rally tomfoolery, certainly that they want to try and inject a little bit of fun into things. We're still going hard here for this battle for what is now a battle for 7th place, as these guys have been catching back up to TC Thrasher, that's just in there in the silver panels that you can see in front. Let's see if we can put the split times on and give you a little bit more information about how close these guys actually are on track to each other. So Destroyer really making moves, inroads now on the inside, again on that hairpin, but he goes way too wide. That potentially is going to be a racing incident, a miscalculation there. No contact, he does give the position back, and that allows TC Thrasher to go through, but Sterling Bongo nipping through on the inside there, and making the most of that mistake there from these guys, and doesn't look like he's going to be looking back. Survivor, Dirt Diggler and Ben Ballard just behind this group. Ben Ballard dropping but a little bit further back on the action now as Dirt Diggler's got round and starts to be released into a little bit of open air. Survivor taking a lot of the rubbers there, just coming into that section. Again, difficult part of the track. It's such a drop as the guys come downhill. It's about a 20% decline in track angle, so the guys really have to account for the back of the car stepping out and set the camber of the cars up just so in order to deal with it, which makes this particular corner very difficult. So as they go through Sagres and then into Galp, it is very difficult to keep the car grippy on the front end without over rotating at the back. A lot of that's symptomatic. You see the guys starting to run a little bit wide there on the end of Galp, just as they come back up onto the off the flat section of the pit straight. Back up in fourth spot, it looks like we've got a little god just catching up to Jelna there, so this now becoming a three-way battle for second place, and the rain's certainly playing havoc with people's lap times here. So a broad range of lap times across the board, as low as 146, which is what we were expecting, 145, 146 is race pace, but all the way up as high as 147s, 148s from some of our leaders here, which I was expecting a little bit more from these guys. So potentially a little bit more rain out on track than we first anticipated. Hopefully these weather conditions won't get any worse than they are. Again, the puddling on track and pooling the water on track does start to get quite difficult as we get towards the last 10 or 15 minutes of the race. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll try and keep an eye trackside when those puddles start to form, see if we can catch all of the thrills and the spills that come along with that. Jack de Menzies over in 6th place here, got a little bit of space in front of him, 3 or 4 seconds to Murphy just in front, but you can see just scarping away along the pit straight there. Jack de Menzies again had a good out in the touring cars, not his best start, was challenging Alex, or the console as you may know him, for the championship lead in the touring cars last season, but unfortunately didn't get a great start on Tuesday's race. So we'll be looking for a better finish here. He's got a long way to go, another 30 minutes or so left in this session, and again we are expecting the Toyotas to do a little bit better on tyres than maybe the Mercedes would around here in comparison. So Jack's probably going to hope a couple of guys in front are going to dive into the pits and he's going to be able to sail through them, and whether we can make that work for him, we shall wait and see. So just at the head of this pack, it looks like Dirt Diggler's managed to work his way through, potentially capitalising on a mistake that Survivor's made there, but working his way up past Ben Ballard. Destroyer's dropped a way back down, so whether that was contact or a mistake, I'm not 100% sure. We'll try and catch that on the replays, but certainly all those guys were pushing exceptionally hard and trying to just make inroads on each other, which in the dry you can get away with, but in the wet you're going to struggle. Panel's doing okay here though, and Panel's back to back at the moment with TC Thrasher just in front. Panels gets a bad reputation for not being the most beautiful car in category. I tend to disagree. I think it's a gorgeous car. I think the noise it makes is second to none. Just going back up with our leaders here. Again, this battle for third place, so eMotorsports, Algarve and Martin 65 all battling it out here. eMotorsports looks like he's got potentially half a second's worth of gap, and he's just trying to maintain that distance, as Martin's got to deal with Little God here, and we all know that Little God can be an absolute nuisance when he gets behind you. Great lines and very rarely relents. John will be conscious of that. I think he's raced with them a couple of times so far into some of these practice sessions, and you've kind of got to measure it for the opposite man, and can feel for where they should push and where they shouldn't. These two obviously able to race clean here, and Little God trying to make a move down the inside. They're just coming into there. He does make that stick, no contact there, but certainly a bold manoeuvre from Little God. Not able to keep it onto the outside there. I think John was just going to get him if he manages to get traction onto the inside, and he's not, so that was pushing a little bit too hard there. Forcing manoeuvre from Martin 65, and Little God makes his way through. So great driving there from Little God. John will be upset with himself there for letting himself make that mistake. That was classically done. A great racing manoeuvre there. Little God now up into third. 1:48.60 on his lap times. Not quite as quick as eMotorsports in front, but is that due to him being held back a little bit from Jalma, potentially a half a second slower on the lap times? Could see him catching up quite quickly to eMotorsports. Not a million miles away from that draft either. 25 minutes to go in our session, almost getting to the halfway point. Lingo Bazinga, nice late in first, a good 12 seconds or so in between him and eMotorsports, and I believe that is him just going round back markers there in the background. So just coming over to our back markers again, the Porsche. We have heard reports the Porsche is one of the most difficult cars to drive in category, and I don't think Giacomo's finding any exception to that here. Just observing good etiquette there and trying to clear some of the puddles, it looks like, as he lets some of our quicker drivers that are on the blue flag through. Black Fowler's made it out to the plates, and he started making inroads back up. Still a good minute and 40 behind the leader, so a good almost a full lap behind. Destroyer dropping back again. Looks like he did get damage from that spin earlier on, so although we didn't catch it, it does look like he's had quite a severe incident there. Fortunately he's okay and he's able to continue with the race, but it's like a lengthy pit stop that he's potentially had there as he comes in again. So I'm not satisfied with the damage, or potentially tyres this time, so if he's had to come in for tyres and damage, that is going to be exceedingly upsetting. Green Gaming here in 13th place in the Toyota. Struggling for traction there, that looked like, as he came onto the back straight. But see what he does in the braking here. Nice and smooth through the last corner, but not incredibly quick. So he's going to be looking for pace, I believe, in that car. Profobit now coming up to the back of Bembelar, so Profobit again getting decent qualifying times up there around mid-pack, and he's going to be wanting to push up past Bembelar here. Bembelar not again, not setting his own slow qualifying times. Similar pace these guys, and I expect they will be toe to toe. Again, similar liveries but not teammates, so there'll be no love lost between each of the drivers here. Apologies to you to have a couple of technical difficulties there with our audio. We appear to be back online now though, so we're just following up with Snell, Bongo and Jack for this battle a bit in between 6th and 7th place. Snell and Bongo trying to put the manoeuvres on Jack, but not quite managing to stick it here, but they are coming up to a back marker now, and I believe this is the blue and white Nissan and blank file. I think it is. Difficult to see for the spray, so I can only imagine how the drivers feel, but Snell and Bongo certainly not letting off despite the spray and despite the back markers. So the back markers are going to want to start moving over here so they don't start affecting the battle out on track. I believe they're going for their own battle at this stage. I think that is Black Car just trying to step out of the way there. It is indeed, as Jack comes around the outside. And Dirt Diggler just in front. Now Dirt Diggler is actually on track for position, so Dirt Diggler will not be moving out of the way intentionally, and he's making Jack go all the way around the outside. Whether Jack can make this stick though, it just means he's got the inside manoeuvre for the penultimate corner, and Dirt Diggler just thinking better of getting involved in that battle for 6th and 7th place. That's 2 places dropped for Dirt Diggler though, but he's hoping that these two are going to potentially push too hard and he's going to come back through, which I don't blame him. Just 10 minutes left to go in this session, and an all-out war here for what is essentially now 5th place, but between 5th, 6th and 7th. Jack ditching again to the inside, just trying to cover it, and it looks like there's contact there. He does back right off those Stellar Bongo, but that is definite touching coming into turn 2 there, as they come round into turn 3. Trying to avoid that puddle on the outside there. Does mean it's too tempting to go on the inside of that corner, which always is a temptation for the car to spin. And hard now on the brakes into the hairpin. Again, trying to avoid the puddles that you can see just forming there on the inside. Not been too played with puddles though, but they are going to start to form up now as the cars are a little bit more spaced out. And Dirt Diggler and Murphy though looks like they're just about having a battle, getting into battle behind there. So a battle for 7th place that is just formed up. So Murphy not done with this yet, as these two have been slowing each other down. Murphy's been slowly but surely catching up onto these two, and it may be a 3-way battle yet again before the end of this race. Just as they come through Sagres for what is the end of lap 19 for these guys. And again, water pooling, as you can see, the puddle's getting bigger and bigger, but the sun actually still shining, so a bit of a mixed bag for the weather. The weather not actually too cold here. The guys will be running that softer compound. So it is affecting the heat, actually making a big difference to the tyres here. Not expecting the tyres to overheat in the wet conditions, but pushing for as long as these guys do. They do tend to, and Snell and Bongo goes exceptionally wide there and tries to take Jack around the outside. The race director will think better of that, and that will certainly be telling off there. As they come through into turn 4, again over that crest, managing to keep the car locked down though, not sideways, and that Toyota can get that extra power that it's got down away now on the straight. And Murphy just come up behind in the silver CLK, so first time Murphy's been out competitively in this CLK. Not putting bad lap times in here, 1:48 still at this stage in the race. Guys are now running less fuel, and the cars will go faster, will go quicker, but that does come with the added risk of less traction, which around here in these conditions is going to be quite a concern for these guys. So just as they come down now over what is Port Mo corner, I like to call it the tabletop, down the other side, which is a huge drop. Again, puddles on the inside of every left-hand corner here. Left-hand corners tend to dip down. You're going to be exceptionally careful when you come through all the left-handers. Try and come out a little bit further around the back of them. Murphy doing a good job here in the Mercedes. Let's see what lap times he's going to be looking at this time when he comes through. Does look like he's still catching the guys in front, and the guys in front still going toe to toe. Looks like Snarling Bongo's just potentially got in front of Jack now, and maybe he's got in front for good. I think he has around that last turn, just as you saw him battling it out there. And lights back on from Jack. Potentially, I know these guys play the lights a little bit, turn the lights on and off to try and mask where they are braking and where they aren't braking for the guy in front, just so they can't get any benefit from seeing where their braking line is. It does have the added effect of making it more difficult to see the car in front and potentially not being able to brake just in time if you do get it wrong. But these guys are certainly going hammer and tongue here, and Murphy is going to be catching up to these all the while. He is indeed. So every time these guys come round toe to toe and two into a corner, Murphy's rubbing his hands together. So we'll stay with this battle, but we have got other battles forming up. TC Thrash has just made his way past Dirk Diggler up for 8th place, and Ben Ballar is again battling with Pro Fubby for 10th and 11th, so these guys have still not done. Three duos here duking it out. So I'll just take a little look over with our leader. It is currently lap 22, and it looks like he's coming onto the back of what is Ben Ballar. I think it is indeed. So Pro Fubby and Ben Ballar actually battling for position here, and Pro Fubby just getting out of the way there as he is under blue flag. Sorry, Ben Ballar getting out of the way there. Pro Fubby just in front. We're back over to our battle for 5th spot, and Murphy has definitely joined this now. So the indicators coming up on the timing board that this is now a 3-way battle within a second of a half, and certainly within the draft zone. So Murphy now benefiting from a 2-car draft. And a bit sideways though, coming into Premier. That's twice now from Snarling Bong on the same corner, so potentially struggling though with rear end traction and just trying to prevent the car from over rotating onto that corner. Jack trying to force him wide there into the puddle, so dirty tactics there from Jack, just trying to wet the Dutchman, as if he wasn't wet enough around the ears from all that spray. And Jack sliding now coming into the hairpin, which is going to allow better traction from the both Mercedes behind, and all Murphy's got to do is just wait this out now, wait for a mistake from these two. They are making minor mistakes, but nothing big enough to try and separate them, either of them. And just another tag there from Snarling Bongo, so is that going to be another one for the stewards' inquiries there? Certainly looks a little bit harder in this instance, and Murphy now trying around the outside, so potentially a little bit of damage there. It's just made Snarling Bongo back off just a little bit, or think better of trying to go into it too hard to it, and potentially it's just made him come out of that battle just a little bit. Can see a nudge on the front end there where he's picked up just a minor amount of damage, where it's got a busted lip a little bit. But I think he's going to let Murphy just have a crack now, see if Murphy can get right up the back of Jack Dementes and see if he can try and take that battle off his hands and do the work for him. Murphy going a little bit sideways himself there as he's got in front. And this might allow Jack to just get away as Murphy takes the puddle on the inside there, and a big 360 spin as that panels went round. Sorry, as the Mercedes went round. A huge spin. Did really well to catch it though, full 360 and caught it straight away. Didn't actually lose as much speed as he could have done. So a good catch there from Murphy, but just a little toe too much on the inside, and then puddles obviously getting deeper. Back over in second place, it does look like Lil God has got in front of Immortality and he stayed there. There's a good 7 seconds between these guys now. As you saw, Lil God just in the difference there, just coming through the end of Portimao section, just up the hill again. But Immortality, a good run out for him in the Mercedes. Gelman's had a bit of a lonely race after the start. It was involved the first couple of laps. After that, it's been pretty clean sailing for Gelman so far. Not too many mistakes. A standard race from what did appear to be difficult conditions. So he's done really well to make that car behave under these conditions. We're back over to our fight for 5th spot. between Jack and Snarling Bongo. Looks like Murphy is still behind, just in shot there, but dropped off a little bit now due to that spin. Whether Snarling Bongo is going to be able to catch back up. Not too long in our session left now. 3 minutes or so to go during our race session, so just coming towards the final couple of laps here. And again, really starting to see that water pooling now. Difficult to see there through the last corner through Galt. On the inside we saw Murphy going round there, and I suspect potentially we might see one or two more going round there if there's more battles going out on grid. Or people trying to hug that inside line and avoid the understeer. So just coming through into Primera now into turn 1. Snelling Bongo taking a little bit of the sausage there on the inside. Jack taking it a little bit on the second turn. And Snelling Bongo off track there again, so really pushing it hard on the brakes now. Having it get off and let the car run off track to avoid the spin. Both of them sticking it over that crest. Again, probably one of the most difficult corners on the circuit, that and Portimao. As they come down into the hairpin, potentially for the penultimate time. Up through into this double right-hander into Samsung corner. Staying well off the rubbers there into Samsung, extremely slippy there on the adverse camber section. And again, down another huge hill here. We've watched the back end of the car from over rotating, but these guys making it fairly simple. And just going over to 10th place, and it looks like we've got a manoeuvre being put onto Dirt Diggler by Pro Fubby, so Pro Fubby making another manoeuvre there. And Dirt Diggler dropping down yet another spot, so it's been slowly but surely dropping down that order for Dirt Diggler. And I believe, no, that's not Ben Ballard behind him, it's not, so Pro Fubby on his own. Ben Ballard's got quite a while to make up, so I think it's just the leaders behind Dirt Diggler just coming up there. I believe it's potentially the Toyota for Green Gaming. We are back on board with our battle for 5th spot. Just 40 odd seconds left in session, so these will go around at least another full lap before Lingo Bazinga crosses the final, the finish time for the final time. And Lingo Bazinga just coming around the final sectors now, coming into Galt for the last time. He's got 15 seconds just left on this session. He may get another lap in here. Still putting 1:46.5 and so still putting one of the fastest laps in our racing. And I think they're going to go round again. They are indeed, so no let off there for Lingo Bazinga, and they are going round again. So another full lap, no let off the guys at this stage, 26 laps it will be. Lil God is still in 2nd place, Immortalis in 3rd, and Jelma in 4th spot, so no change there. Back over to our battles for 5th, we've got Jack Dementes and Snelling Bongo still duking it out. Jack's still getting the better of Snelling Bongo at this stage, so whether Snelling is saving all that to the very end and he's going to try a last ditch effort, we have yet to see. Murphy's still in 7th place. A little bit behind these guys, 3 or 4 seconds that's been costing. But certainly not dropped any further back at this stage, so still on pace. And a good 12 seconds behind him is TC Thrasher, so no real threat there from 8th place. In 9th is Pro Fubby. Looks like he's got past Dirk and Ben quite proficiently. Dirk and Ben are, like I said, in 10th and 11th place respectively. And we do have another battle out on here on track between Destroyer and Survivor, so these two still hitting it out between 12th and 13th, so battles all over the shop, still in the GT1s. As Lingo Bazinga comes through onto Sagres for the final time. Great drive from Lingo Bazinga today, an absolute masterclass in how you drive in the wet. Outpaced every other car on track and coming in to put a nice steady 1:47 in his penultimate lap. So just coasted it through for the end. We do say the best drivers win, and win as slow as they can. He's certainly done that in the last couple of laps, and a great win there from Lingo Bazinga. So no change there for our champion. And just coming through what is Again, Galp called off the last time is Little God, so his first outings in GT1 in awful conditions, and he will get second spot, and Immortalis will get third. That's just Dirt Diggle coming over, and I believe that is the Porsche of Giacomo just behind him. Immortalis though coming through for third place, Jelma for fourth, and Jack Dementes will get a fifth spot. So just as the guys come through now, they're just going to finish up. It's not quite in the order that you would see due to the laps done by Linga Bazinga and amount of laps, cars that he's actually lapped, which is only a positive thing for Linga Bazinga. I'm sure the other guys will be kicking themselves for one or two instances for the start of the race and one or two spins thereof, but not as many spins as we thought, but certainly a lot of action out here today. Just as you see TC Thrasher just coming through the final corner for the last time. Great outing from TC Thrasher for 8th place again, another new entrant into our GT1. Really good run, and nice to see more penalties out here in the GT1s this season. Very scarce last season, lots and lots of Mercedes, but certainly some good positions in second place. And just jumping up there, I think, actually, so jumped up just at the end there because of the penalties it received. So indeed, yeah, so a couple of penalties there. In Linga Bazinga, again, our usual winner as we come to expect in first place. In second place, we've got Little God, or as we know him as Steve. Immortalis comes up in third place. Martin 65, or Jelmer as we know him, up in fourth. Murphy in fifth place. Snarling Bongo in sixth. Snarling Bongo did get a 10-second penalty though. TC Thrasher up in seventh place. Jack Dementes up in 8th, but with a 30-second penalty, so a huge whopping penalty there for Jack Dementes. We'll have to ask him what went on there after the race. Prophobia up in 9th, Dirk Diggler in 10th, so Dirk Diggler dropping back down to 10th after getting all the way up to almost first spot in the race. Ben Villar coming up in 11th, Survivor in 12th, Destroyer in 13th, so Survivor getting the better Destroyer in that battle. Blackfile in 14th with a 10-second penalty, Green Gaming in 15th, and Giacomo finishing up the grid in 16th with a 10-second penalty of his own. So that's it for this week from our GT1s. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolutely outstanding battle in the rain here at the Algarve circuit, Portimao. It's been lovely to have you. Thanks very much for McToasty for doing the cameras for us. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe if you do like our videos, and hit that bell notification icon. And if you really support what we do, you can always come over to fluxmotorsport.com/donate, and you can come buy us a coffee and really support the cause. Other than that, we will see you for GT1 same time at 8 PM next week, next Thursday. But next after this race, we've got more championship action coming to you on Friday night with the GTEs, which will go out at 8 PM Friday night Eastern Standard Time in the US, or that is Saturday morning 1 AM UK time to you and me. So if you want to catch that action, be sure to tune in there. But from me and the rest of the guys at Flux Motorsport, thanks very much. Good night.